Alright, so if you guys have been following along on this build, we're building this RZR to do some endurance racing, some Ultra 4 stuff, and go fast. Now, we've upgraded the factory axles, but that's just moved our weak link around to another location, which is the stock drive shaft and carrier bearing. So today we're going to show you how to upgrade that drive shaft so you never have to worry about it again. So there are a ton of different options out there on the market, but we decided to go with the RCV prop shaft after a ton of research. And that's for numerous reasons, and I could tell you all about it, but who better to tell you than Mr. RCV himself, Ricky B. So Ricky, tell us about the prop shaft setup from RCV and what makes it one of the better ones on the market.
So one of the issues with the factory Polaris setup is you get a lot of vibrations from the carrier bearing, and you can see a bent prop shaft from the thin wall. What we've been able to do is come up with this one-piece design which eliminates the carrier bearing altogether, which eliminates all vibration. We're able to do this with 300M CVs on each end, and to increase the strength we chose to go with chromoly and a much thicker wall tubing than factory, and it should hold up a lot better than factory. We've yet to see any failures.
I've been running this setup in my RZR buggy, which is a longer wheelbase, so it's a longer prop shaft with no carrier bearing for the entire season. Now, I went to the first race and broke the stock drive shaft immediately, and I have been running this the whole season and have yet to have a failure. Haven't seen one break yet. So that's enough talking. Let's get to taking the old junk out so we can get this thing installed. So the first step is we're going to take off the passenger side front tire so we can knock out the roll pin. Alright, so once you have the tire removed, you want to go ahead and put the RZR up on jack stands, get all 4 tires off the ground so you can rotate the drive shaft to where you can access the roll pin with a punch, and then just work on knocking it out. Next, you want to remove the belt cover. So our cover didn't want to come off easy, so we went ahead and removed this lower shock mount bolt. You might not have to do that, you might. Alright, next thing you want to do is go ahead and loosen up the 6mm Allen bolts that are holding the drive shaft to the rear end. Alright, now that that's loose, we got to loosen up the driver's side motor mount so we can pry up the motor and get the stock drive shaft out of the way.
Can I throw it like Monster Garage?
Yeah.
I might need that later.
So we took the bolt out, slid it back in, and slid the tube on top. Gave us a little bit of extra room so we could get the drive shaft out. Next thing you want to do is go ahead and remove the seats and take out the center console so we can get to that carrier bearing. Once you get the center console off, on the 2016 Turbo there is a shield, and that is a 15mm bolt.
Yes, sir.
You got to remove to get the shield off.
It also holds the carrier bearing.
So this is your metal prop shaft guard that's on the 2016 turbos, and I guess the 2017s have it too. We took a Sawzall to it to better get it out. We don't need it anymore. We're putting the RCV guard on there, so you don't have to use a Sawzall, but hey, you can't argue with the results. Alright, next step is you're going to pry the carrier bearing off the back of the shaft, so towards the rear of the machine. And it's quite a process. You might have to get all of the guts out of the carrier bearing to make it a little easier on you.
So you'll separate the carrier bearing off of the carrier bearing housing off of the carrier bearing, which should theoretically pry off really easily, but in this case it didn't. So you make the best of your bad situation, and
if all else fails, you just get the Sawzall out.
Yeah, you just
can't get it off, start cutting.
Yeah.
Boom.
So.
There's the rest of your drive shaft.
It's fine. That'll go back in.
So Ricky, if someone buys an RCV prop shaft, do you come to their house and help install?
No, this is just a special occasion. But
what's the purpose of this video?
Yeah, if you buy an RCV prop shaft, I can promise you'll never have to deal with this again.
Alright, so the next thing, we went ahead and loosened up this nut back here on the rear flange. It's a 30mm. Just loosen that bad boy up and the flange will slide right off.
Alright, so the RCV prop shaft will come fully assembled, and all you'll have to do is take the rear flange off, line up the prop shaft in the machine, and reattach using loctite.
That easy, you just kind of slide it towards the front. If you're having trouble sliding the prop shaft into the machine, it doesn't hurt to go ahead and remove the top bolt on the upper radius rod. Give you a little more clearance to get it in there. Alright, so if you don't listen to anything on this video, listen to this one thing. This is one of the most important parts of installing this. This rear flange, you take these bolts to install it, and they all need to have blue loctite on them, and you need to torque them down to 16 foot-pounds. If not, they could rattle loose, and it's bad. It's a bad deal if it comes apart. Alright, so as you can see, we've put our flange in first, and then went ahead and slid the prop shaft in. It's going to be a tight fit, and it's going to be a struggle to get it in there, but be persistent, and it'll fit right in there. Make sure you leave the roll pin out of the front for now, so it can slide all the way forward, give you a little bit extra play in the back to get all those bolts in and get it lined up. Alright, so now that we have everything installed on the rear of the machine, it's time to move towards the front, and that means using the factory roll pin, which we definitely recommend not doing. Instead, you can use a 1/4" bolt, throw it in there, no problem. That way, if you got to remove it again for anything to work on the diff or anything like that, it's real easy to do because we all know those roll pins are a pain in the butt. Just make sure that you can move the prop shaft completely around in a circle and the bolt doesn't have any clearance issues. Looks like we're good to go. Alright, now that we have everything buttoned up on the Razor, we've tightened everything back up, the last thing we got to do is put in this little guard. And you'll probably never need this, but in case the diff locks up or anything happens with the CV shaft, this will keep it from getting into your floorboard and getting to you. Alright, once you got the guard installed, just put everything in the interior back together and you're ready to ride. Alright folks, that is it for our RCV prop shaft installation. This is not the easiest install to do, but if you have the right tools and a couple friends to help you out, you can get it done, and it's well worth it in the long run. Because now we have to worry zero about our drive shaft, and we'll have no vibrations running down the trail and running at high speeds doing the endurance racing that we want to do with this machine. So if you guys want to check out some older episodes of Extreme UTV, they're over here. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, thanks for watching. So, how do I need to end this? You want me to just have a shot of me doing this and then just have me up front putting the roll pin in? Yeah?
I hate you. I hate you. I hate you.
Alright, now that we got everything squared away, Now you're gonna want to put blue Loctite on these bolts for the rear. What'd you call this?
Flange.
Flange. Let me do it again. For the rear flange.
You know, I just feel like if I just cut it in half first, we'll start right here. Just cut the machine in half.
You got a sawzall. It's got
That'll
a
give
blade.
you.
Easier. Can we glue it back?
That'll give you the ability to work on it freely, and then everybody wins.